Hi, and welcome to the Wine Bar, where I bring you quick, efficient bar workouts along with tips about wine. Today we're going to be doing a 15-minute full body exercise using Cabernet, so the king of grapes. It's a little bit windy today, so I apologize if there's any background noise. And as always, we're going to be using light weights. I'm going to be using 2 Cabernet bottles. You can feel free to use regular weights or soup cans or water bottles, whatever you have. And I'm going to have my little booty kicker bar for support. So feel free to grab the back of a couch or a counter or a chair, whatever you have in your house. And let's get started. All right, so we're going to warm up. We're going to come into a wide second plie. We're going to come down, reach our arms overhead, down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. Just a few more. Down and up. We're just getting everything nice and warm. Down and up. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my feet a little bit in closer, and I'm just going to reach over to the right, stretch out that side body. And then we're going to come to the other side, so stretch out the right side of the body. One more each side, so just stretch out the left side. And then we're going to stretch out the right side. All right, now we're going to come with our feet directly under our hips. Our abs are in. We're going to be doing a little bit of an air squat just to warm up the glutes and the hamstrings and the hips and the lower back. So we're just coming down, just a nice easy squat, and 3, 2, and 1. All right, so now we're going to come into a back lunge. So I'm just going to bring my right leg back into a lunge, and then we're going to switch to the left side, come back up, switch. Just getting all of the muscles a little bit warmed up and a little bit lubricated to get everything a little loose and ready for a little bit more action. So last right and last left. All right, so now last warm-up move we're going to do, we're going to just come out to the side, come back to the middle, over to the side, to the right, to the left. Make sure that your weight is evenly distributed from your foot. We don't want it all in the heel or all in the toes. We're just getting everything going. Last one. And here we go. All right. So grab your weights. So I'm grabbing my Cabernet bottles. And we're going to come into a wide grand plie position, and now we're going to come down. I'll demonstrate first. So we're going to come down, raise the weights over our head, and come back up. So we're keeping our abs in nice and tight, coming down and up, and lifting the weights overhead like this. So we're coming down and up, down and up. So we're keeping our weight evenly distributed in the middle. And we are really working the glutes and the hamstrings and the quads in this stretch. So today I'm using Cabernet bottles, which most people hopefully have heard of Cabernet before. I would say it's one of the more popular grapes that even people who just maybe drink wine once in a while, that's at least one they'll recognize, which is grown all over the place, but mostly known in the Bordeaux region of France and California. Of course, a lot more places grow it, but those are the 2 most popular. Napa Valley being the king of Cab right now, and are the wines that generally get a lot of points in the magazines. All right, we're going to do this 4 more times. 3, 2, and 1. All right, so I'm going to give my arms and legs a little shake out, and we're going to go into back into grand plie. We're going to stretch our arms out to the sides, and we're going to just do little pulses while we're keeping our weights even, just to give our shoulders a little workout, right? So we're pulsing and we're learning about cab. So cab is great. Cab goes with a lot of different foods, especially grilled meats, anything with heavy sauces. And I mean, most people, if they drink red wine, they like Cabernet. So it tends to have a lot of tannins, and it tends to be aged in oak, which gives it a little bit more of a vanilla flavor. All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're gonna turn and do a lunge pulse, and then lift our foot into an elevate position and come back down. We're gonna turn to the center and then to the right and do it on this side. So we're coming up to the center, lunge, pulse, lift, lower, center, turn, lower, pulse, lift, center. All right, so I know that one's a little bit confusing. We're gonna pulse, lift and lower, and come down into lunge, pulse, lift our heel and lower. All right, we're doing this just a few more times. Ready, so down, pulse, lift, lower, and down, pulse, lift, lower. All right, let's give that a little shake out. All right, so now we're gonna go into squats with bicep curls. So we're gonna come down with our weight in our heels and bring our arms up into a bicep curl and then stand back up straight. So down and up, down and up. I'd say if you grabbed Cabernet bottles, be careful. They do tend to be the ones that the more expensive wineries make heavier because then they feel like they're more expensive. So just be careful. They might be like 3.5 pounds instead of 2.5 pounds. So just beware of that. Anything in the under $30 range is probably going to be okay though. So I am using 2 wineries that I sell from my portfolio, which is Larkmead Winery and the Hunted Harvest Winery. Larkmead is arguably one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Cabernet producer in Napa. Depends on who you ask. But they have a very long and storied history in Napa Valley and a very fun background, and their wines are just really delicious, and they don't chase trends. They don't try to make them big and jammy to get more points, but they do try and keep it nice and classic and good for food. All right, and 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now we're gonna hold our squat and we're gonna do a chair pose. So I'm gonna keep my weight in my hands while I do this chair pose. We're just, weight is in our heels, our abs are in tight, and ooh, that's a little tough for me. You might wanna not use the weights. So we're gonna just do this for another 10 seconds. We're just holding it in this position, and then we are going to switch over to doing some standing work at the bar. So 2, 1, and release. All right, so I'm gonna go down to just 1 weight. So I'm going to be using 1 bottle of wine. I'm going to come to my bar. I'm going to fold over my bar with my arm having the support. I'm gonna have my standing leg very slightly bent, and then I'm going to lift and lower with the weight and my leg. So we're gonna keep our abs in tight. We're gonna keep our back as straight as possible, and we're gonna keep our legs straight. So we're just coming up. We're not, we're keeping our standing leg slightly bent, just so we don't straighten it too much, overextend. And we're working the back of our arms and our glutes in this pose. And 10 more seconds. And then we're gonna just do the other side. And 3, 2, 1. All right. Shake that out a little bit. So now I'm gonna come, sorry, I'm gonna be facing away from you. And I'm gonna come again with my standing leg slightly bent, my weight in my hand, and then I'm going to have my bar for support, my booty kicker, and then we're gonna lift and lower the other side. So we're keeping our abs in, and we are thinking about all of the yummy food that we're gonna drink with our Cabernet later. which I'm hoping is going to be some kind of hamburger or maybe a steak with blue cheese. That's my favorite. So I think that is a really good one. So, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Good job, guys. I'm going to put my weights down and I'm going to come into my bar here. We're going to come into first position. We're going to raise up onto our toes and we're going to click our heels together and bring them down into a little diamond shape. So now we're going to do some elevate pulses, right? So I'm trying to think of other interesting Cabernet facts. There are so many of them. So they do make the bulk of the right bank Bordeaux, right? So if you get a Bordeaux, tends to be either Merlot or Cabernet Sauvignon based, and it depends on which side of the river that shoots through Bordeaux has Cabernet and Merlot. And there are some really, really famous wineries there, and then there are some not as famous ones that are very small and don't make that much wine. But we're making sure that our abs are nice and tight, and we're just doing these little pulses up and down. We got about 10 seconds left. So like I said, if you're going to a party and you want to bring a nice red wine, I would bring a cab. That would make you a lot of friends, probably. 3, 2, 1. All right, now we're going to come out. We're going to give our legs a little shake out just so that they are nice and loose. And then we're going to come back into the first position. We're going to elevate up, click our heels together, and come back into our little straight back, hips tucked under, and we're going to now knock our knees back. So it's a very small movement, but we're working outside of our glutes and the outside of our quads. So the movement is very small, but it gets really into those deep hip muscles. Whew. We got about 20 seconds left. And this is one of those that you can usually really feel the next day if you're not used to doing it. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. I know we got little shakes going on. Come 1 inch lower if you can. And we're quaking and shaking and making all of the muscles stronger. And these little muscles that we don't always get. And 3, 2, 1. All right, come out of it. Good job, guys. Woo! All right, so now we're going to come into a little bit of some core work. So I'm going to come to the back of my mat. I'm going to roll down and I'm going to walk out into a high plank. So we're going to hold this for a few seconds and then we're going to do some mountain climbers just to get the abs from a different angle. So we're going to make sure our butt is in line. We don't want to up like a down dog. And our wrists are directly below our shoulders. I have a little bit of an issue in my left wrist, so sometimes these can be a little tough, but I'm just going to power through. Okay, so now we're going to come into some easy mountain climbers. So we're going to keep our hips nice and level, and we're going to just bring one knee up at a time so that we can just focus the ab work on a different area, right? So I also have a clicky hip when I do anything involving bringing my knee towards my chest. So just work with what you have. You can also come down onto your knees and bring your knee in one at a time this way, if that is what your body needs today. All right, so we're about 10 more seconds here, and then we're gonna flip over onto our butt. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, come out of it. Give your wrist a little shake out, and then we're going to come onto our behind, and we're going to do some Russian twists. So if you want, grab one of your weights. I'm going to grab one of the wine bottles, and then come onto your sits bones. Keep your back nice and straight, and we're going to come into some twists just to get the abs from, again, a different angle. So now we're just twisting, right? So I like to make a little bit of a rainbow with my weight when I do this, right? So that we can just get all the rotation. We're getting our spine nice and strong, as well as our abs and our obliques. Right? You can also do this with no weight if that is what you need today. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so now we're going to come into a boat pose. So I'm going to keep my weight shoulder height, and I'm going to bring my legs up, and I'm on my sits bones, and I'm going to just stay in this little boat position while we hold. If you want, you can come out and do a more of a elongated hold, or you can, of course, always keep your legs bent if that's what you need today. And so we're going to just stay in this position while I talk my last little bits about Cab, which is, don't be afraid to try other red wines. Cab is only one grape. It is a delicious one, but there are some other ones that you can sometimes find a better value, like Malbec, Merlot, which we've already talked about in my previous videos. And even if you want something that might be a little different, is Sangiovese from Italy, which isn't the same as Cab, but most people know Chianti or Brunello, which kind of you can get the same-ish flavor profile. All right, 10 more seconds. We can do this. I know this has been a really long time. I hope I was distracting you with my info. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, come down. Whew, my abs are on fire. We're going to do a little bit of a cool down now. So I want you to come down into a straddle stretch. Whew, I can really feel it in my inner thighs, especially after that. So I'm going to come over to one side. I'm going to reach over with my hand, and I'm going to just stretch out the left side, giving it a little bit of a break here. We did a lot of side body today and lower body. All right, come back up to the center. So now I'm going to come down with my left hand, my right hand over. All right, so we got the side body stretched out. So now we're going to come onto all fours and we're going to do cat-cow. So we're going to have our hands directly below our shoulders and our knees directly below our hips. And we're going to come down into a cow pose, which is pushing everything down into the mat. And we're going to exhale, bring everything up into a cat pose. And we're going to come back down into a cow pose and stretch out all those ab muscles. Stretch up into a cat pose as you exhale. Inhale into cow. One more cat. Exhale. All right, now come into a down dog. We're going to give the back of our legs a little pedal out. Pedal, pedal, pedal. Pedal, pedal, pedal. Okay, now feel free to walk your feet in towards your hands. Stay in this bent over pose for just a second here. We're going to just let everything hang loose. We're going to grab onto our our elbows. Let gravity go the other way on our spine right now. And then I'm going to rise up one vertebrae at a time, very slowly, making sure the head is the last thing up. We're going to give our shoulders a little roll out, a little jiggle. Thank you so much for joining me. If you would like this little booty kicker, again, I love it for bar work, especially at home. There's a link in the box below, but of course you can always use a couch or a chair. I just like this because I feel more professional when I use my little bar. But booty kicker, and I hope to see you next week.